Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Skip Alzheimer, and welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show. It's Monday, and I hope everybody had a great weekend. I am slowly trying to figure out what I'm going to show you today, because sometimes technology behaves, and sometimes it does not. So we are kind of trying to play with things. We're going to go ahead and start off with the film scanner, because I think we got it working. I'm not using the same Mac. I'm using my laptop again, but I think I have it hooked up. So, fingers crossed. All right. So here's Farmers of India. Enjoy.
The great Indian Peninsula, which lies between the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal, is about half as large as the United States. Yet it is the home of nearly 400 million people, almost 1/5 of the population of the world. In the north, the peninsula is separated from the rest of Asia by the Himalayas, the high mountain ranges on Earth. From the melting snow of the Himalayas and from the summer moons which sweep far inland from the sea come the waters of the Ganges River. Thousands of brooks and streams flow into this broad river. Over the ages, the rich soil washing down from the mountains has built a vast, fertile plain along the Ganges. This plain is over 1,000 miles long and 200 miles wide. In the mid-Ganges Valley, near the city of Benares, the soil is rich and deep. Here the summers are very wet and the winters are sunny and dry. All through the year, the air is warm. Most of the children in India have to work every day, but some of us are fortunate enough to be able to go to school. My name is Chote Lal. On my way to school, I pass neighbors who are cutting sugarcane. Sugarcane and rice are the two most important crops in the middle Ganges Valley. When our rainy season ends, crops which have grown during the wet summer months are harvested. At this time, farmers begin to prepare the fields for the winter crops. Barley, wheat, and millet grow well during our dry winter months. The school is not far from my home. Only boys may attend it. In my country of so many millions, only about 12 people in 100 know how to read and write. While I am in school, the others of my family have work to do at home and in the fields. In the Ganges Valley, there are almost no trees. In order to have fires in our stoves, we must prepare a supply of dried cattle manure, which we use instead of wood. My sister Krishna and a cousin help do this work. My father does his autumn plowing as soon as the summer crops are gathered. Although in our tropical country we harvest 2 crops a year, India's farmers cannot raise enough food for so many millions of people. Only 1 farmer in 7 has enough land to raise food for his own family. My mother follows the furrows of my father's plow and sows the winter wheat. There is so little food in India that millions of people are always hungry, and a great many starve to death each year. Until the rainy season begins again next June, we shall have to bring water to the dry fields. With the help of the bullocks, water is drawn from the well in a bucket made of leather. In India, Many farmers water their land in this way. If all the farmlands of our country could be irrigated, we would be able to produce food enough for all our people. In a land where every kernel of grain is needed for food, we cannot afford to waste even a drop of water. One of our summer crops is a plant called maize. Today, my grandmother is harvesting this crop. The kernels of grain are threshed from the tops. The stalks and leaves will be fed to our animals. We raise sheep in the Ganges Valley, but in many parts of India, farmers cannot raise animals because there is nothing for them to eat. While I have been in school, my mother and father have put in a long day in the fields, for as soon as one crop is harvested, a new one must be planted. 3/4 of the people in my country live by farming, as our family does, and to any of us, a crop failure may mean starvation. Although my mother has been working in the fields all day, she still has work to do at home. When the workday is over, the bullocks must be rested and fed. After threshing the maize and saving the grain for us, Grandmother chops up the stalks, which will be given to the animals. We eat only 2 meals a day. Our meals are usually made of rice, with lots of fresh vegetables which my mother slices with a curved knife. The Hindu religion forbids us ever to eat meat. While my mother prepares the vegetables, Grandmother helps by grinding grain for bread. The little stone mill has been owned by our family for hundreds of years. It is part of our religion to keep our bodies scrupulously clean. We bathe at least twice a day. Father and I wash at the well before eating. In the warm, dry air, we need no towels. Our unleavened bread is baked in flat cakes. When the vegetables are ready, the cakes are toasted next to the open fire. In our country, it is the custom to serve the men of the family first. After my father, my mother serves me. Rice is very nourishing and is the basic food for the millions of people in our country. It is cooked with fresh vegetables and flavored with spices. Nearly every week, my father makes a trip to market. Usually, he will go to the village near our home. But when he has crops to sell, he will take them all the way to the city of Benares. If we did not own a camel, we would have to hitch our slow-moving bullocks to a wagon By loading the camel with grain, we will make the trip in a shorter time. Whenever we go to Benares, my mother has us take a special brass jar. We will bring it back filled with water from the sacred Ganges. On the way, we pass through the flat rice paddies, on which in the wet season, the people of our village raise much of their food. After a time, we come to the river which we call Mother Ganges, for it is still building the great valley plain on which we live. Finally, we reach Benares, which is a holy city to all who are Hindus. Benares is both a holy city for the Hindus and one of India's great business and educational centers. 250,000 people live here. My father and I must pass through part of the business section on our way to the grain market. People with the same trades have their shops in the same part of the city. Because of this, a customer can compare prices before buying. In the street of the tin merchants, only articles made of tin are sold. There are other streets for goldsmiths and brass workers and weavers. The grain market, where we are going, is near the railroad yards, so that trains can take the crops to other parts of the country. The men who deal in wheat and rice and other grains all have their places of business near the grain market. Our grain must be weighed before it is offered for sale. Many farmers have brought their grain to the market today, and the freight yard is very busy. When our grain is weighed, my father tells the merchant he wants a fair price. Naturally, father wants to get as much as he can, and the merchant wants to pay as little as possible. But in the end, they strike a bargain. Because we have other errands to do, we leave the camel until we are ready to start home. First, we go to the riverfront. Along the banks of the river are landing places and steps. These are called ghats. We have come to the ghats with thousands of other Hindus to bathe in the holy waters of Mother Ganges. The city of Benares has been a religious center for 5,000 years. The monuments and statues on the ghats are important in the Hindu religion. Among the crowds of pilgrims who come to the Ganges are those we call holy men, They spend all their lives in prayer. My father observes the Hindu ritual of purification. Before leaving the river, Father fills the brass jar with holy water to take home. Our next stop is at a barber's. Here my father gets a shave every time he comes to the city. In Benares, there are more than 1,500 temples and shrines. We Hindus believe in one God. We believe that he exists everywhere and may be worshipped in many forms. We have some shopping to do in the street of the clothmakers. Cotton cloth is something every Indian needs because nearly all of our clothing is made from it. Our country has big cotton mills, but some of our cotton cloth is still woven on hand looms. Indian hand-woven cotton cloth is considered the finest in the world. The silk embroidery made in Benares is very beautiful. The embroiderers are proud of their fabrics, some of which are partly made with threads of gold and silver. Our brocades have seldom been surpassed in either quality or beauty. It is time to return for our camel and start the trip home. We have done everything we planned to do in the city. My father has sold his grain for a good price. We have purified ourselves in the holy Ganges and said our prayers at the temple. We have also bought presents for the rest of the family. On camelback, the journey home seems shorter than when we walked all the way to Benares in the morning. Mother is glad that we have brought back the brass jar filled with holy water from the Ganges. The cotton cloth we bought will make a new dress for grandmother. Krishna too will have a new dress, and she is much pleased because we have brought her some candy from the city. In our home, we have a shrine before which we say our prayers. My family lives in much the same way as thousands of families live on the Indian Peninsula, the home of almost 1/5 of the people in the world. Of all these millions, only a few have had a chance for education. But now, more of us are going to school every year. And even my sister has opportunities our mother never had. Education will help us to solve our most serious problem: how to provide enough food for the millions of hungry people who live on the great Indian Peninsula.
Wow, that worked. That's pretty great. Where am I? Where am I? Visibly. Oh, there I am. All right. So I got a bunch of stuff from a filmmaker, Craig Baldwin. He is also a collector. And when I get stuff from him, it's always like these weird fragments. I'm like, dude, where'd you get that? And he kind of shrugs, like, I don't know. So this, he said, was a Planet of the Apes behind the scenes, but I don't think that's what this is. You watch and try to figure it out. Enjoy.
Yes, that was just great, Artemis. Would you like to take your head off and have a breather? That's terrific. Very nice. You've got it absolutely right. Now, I hope you all saw that, exactly how she walked onto the picture.
Ape-man suits, created on imaginative lines for a theatrical movie, conceal some of Professor Tobias's students. One of the world's foremost experts on the anatomy of prehistoric man, Tobias is also an inspired teacher.
The sacroiliac joints and eventually the backbone itself becoming adjusted to complete uprightness.
Professor Tobias, at what stage was complete uprightness attained?
Probably at the stage of Homo erectus. That's really the next big evolutionary level of human development. Probably only about 750,000 years ago. So it's really quite a recent development. I want you to have a little run now. Get down into a sort of crouching position. And then when I give the word, I want you to come upright, run forward in a slightly bent position, a couple of yards, and then flop down into a crouching position once again. Okay. All right. On your marks, off you go. That's great. Now, come up onto two legs and just try standing upright. Bent at the knee a little, bent at the thigh a little, and with your backbone bent over a little. Just stand looking straight ahead of you always, looking at the dangers in your path. You're primates, and primates live by their eyes. That's the ticket. Look straight ahead of you. That's dead right. That's dead right. Hold it for a minute or two. Right. Flop over again. Down to the crouching position once more. Okay. Dead right. This is how it probably started. Little short spells of two-legged running and then over into the four-legged position once again. Gradually, you learn to do it longer and longer without falling over, and eventually you can keep a perfect balance without falling over whatsoever. Okay. The reason why uprightness is so terribly important in the history of man is that it led to the freeing of the hands. All the rest seems to have followed. The enlargement of the brain, the reduction in size of the teeth, the gradual...
Skate nostrils are not like human nostrils. They do not serve the respiratory system. They are sensory organs used for smelling and detecting the whereabouts of food. A porous nasal curtain protects this sensory organ from water intake and also prevents sand from entering it.
Learning. If a violent tradition marks man's history, most scientists agree that society passes it on. And as for the alleged killer instincts of the African ape man, few of the manhunters
Oh, that Craig. Holy cow. I was like, what? Oh, so good. Anyways, all right. Let's learn about our changing American family. Enjoy.
75 years in the story of the family as a social institution is very short indeed. And yet, in that time, the pattern of family life in America has undergone radical changes. On a farm in the 1880s, family life followed a pattern which had been characteristic of America from early colonial times. 3 generations of a family lived and worked together. The father was head of the family in the fullest sense of the word. He had the primary economic responsibility for its survival, and he was the final source of authority. He was teacher as well as parent, and from him, his sons learned their vocation. In those days, a farm family was an economic unit complete in itself, held together by a division of labor among its members. The mother, in addition to her traditional responsibility for the rearing of children, had regular duties, such as the preparing of food. When she was not preparing meals, there were many other things to be done: churning butter, putting up preserves for the winter, and keeping the farmhouse clean. Her role in maintaining the family, both biologically and economically, was an important one, and it was clearly defined so far as the division of labor was concerned. Even grandparents fitted into the economic picture. They often lived with the family and participated in the work of the farm until incapacitated by old age or illness.
Rosemary, is Emmy up there with you?
What was that, Mama?
I said, is Emmy up there with you? I just can't keep track of that child.
Yes, she's here.
All right. I just wanted to know.
Stop that this minute, Emma Jane. What are you trying to do? Ruin Mom's new dress?
I wasn't hurting nothing.
You mean anything.
Nothing. Grandpa says it that way.
You'd better behave yourself, young lady, or I won't make you a new dress.
Never?
No, never.
You will too. You got to. Just because you make all the clothes for the whole family, you think you're so smart.
Stop that and get out of here before I sew you right up on the machine.
You couldn't catch me even if you had a head start.
Emma is too young to have as definite a role in the division of labor as her sister Rosemary. But her older brother Franklin has already had his duties assigned. Chief among them is the care of the poultry. After harvest is over, all the children will go back to school at the little red schoolhouse 4 miles away. And Emma will have studies to keep her busy. Unpopular as she seems to be today, there's one person who is always glad to see her: Grandpa. Emma knows that she's the apple of his eye, and she has no hesitation in taking advantage of it. Grandpa is almost 70, but he is still of real help on the farm, particularly in the care of the livestock. In the American family of the past, religion played an important role in holding the family together as an institution. It was not exclusively an individual experience. The family participated in it as a group, in church and at home too. On Sunday afternoons, the father read aloud from the Bible.
The Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but he casteth away the substance of the wicked. He becometh poor that dealeth with the slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. He that gathereth in summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in harvest is a son that causeth shame.
Fred sleeps in the harvest, Papa.
Emma, do not interrupt the reading of the scripture. Blessings are upon the head of the just, but the violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. The memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. The wise in heart will receive commandments, but a prating fool shall fall. He that walketh uprightly walketh surely.
Sunday was not given over exclusively to religion. Later in the day, visiting between families and friends was an approved kind of Sabbath recreation. On evenings during the week, the kitchen usually served as a living room, especially during the winter, because the stove was there. Although games were prohibited on Sunday, during the week, they were a favorite kind of recreation, with all three generations taking part. The children's school year was a short one, because all the children were useful on the farm. Consequently, parents often assumed the role of teacher, too. Rosemary is entertaining a suitor in the parlor. Courtship in the 1880s had stricter rules than today. Activities connected with the church, and especially Wednesday evening prayer meeting, gave courting couples their opportunities to meet.
Mama, will you play for us?
Yes, daughter.
Their only real chance to be alone was in the home of the girl, where her parents could chaperone the meeting. This, then, was the American farm family of the 1880s, a group which was closely knit, economically as well as emotionally. It was a secure group, too, held together by strong religious belief and mutuality of work and of recreation. But the social forces that resulted from the Industrial Revolution were already at work, and this pattern of family life was to be changed dramatically and radically. The birth of a new century was not far off, and with it, a new way of life for the American family. With the growth of factories, the family as an economic unit with a division of labor began to disappear. Factories hired individuals, not families. Industrial expansion brought with it the growth of cities, and this too changed the traditional pattern of family life. Increasingly, families lived in apartments, not houses. This urban way of life brought with it greater individualism, more opportunities for self-expression, but at the expense of the family and home ties. But the greatest force of change in the traditional pattern of American family life was the changed status of woman herself. The feminist movement, which began in 1848, was originally directed against masculine domination. For many years, suffragettes campaigned to get the vote for women. But it was not until 1920 that women in all states of the Union could vote. But the factor of greatest change was the increasing employment of women outside the home, in factories, in commercial services, and in the professions. Industry offered her employment. At the same time, providing her with merchandise and services that undermined her traditional tasks. Today, most women work, not in protest against masculine domination, but out of economic necessity. New inventions in communication and ways of travel had an important impact on the traditional family pattern. In 1880, families had rarely traveled long distances, but with the spread of rail facilities, they began to travel more. The arrival of the automobile early in the century made it possible for families to move about even more easily, and history itself accelerated the trend. The stock market crash in 1929 ushered in the greatest economic depression in the nation's history. Whole families were uprooted, forced into movement in the search for work and a way of living. World War II weakened the stability of the family even further. Family groups were temporarily broken by the necessities of war. Many women went to work in factories to support the war effort, and often to supplement the family income. At the end of the war, families were reunited, but the social stability of the American family had been shaken by the increased freedom of women, depression, war, and population movements. Today, we have the smallest family unit in history and the least stable. Our divorce rate has greatly increased. Does this mean that the family as an institution is on the wane? In search of an answer, let us take a closer look at family life today, both on the farm and in the city. Despite wars and depressions, a Harrington family still owns this farm. But many changes have taken place. For example, plowing is done by machine. Although the farmhouse has not changed much on the outside, inside it's a different place. The Mrs. Harrington of today no longer has to spend all her time in the kitchen. Modern conveniences have given her more leisure. Even the Grandma Harrington of today does not have to work as she once did. Although there are still things for today's Grandpa Harrington to do, he is not nearly so important to the farm economy as he once was. There are children in this generation of Harringtons, too, but they have their noonday meal at school. Today, children are less economically important on the farm, and so there's more time for education. Grace is seldom said before meals except on Sunday, but the Harringtons are still church members and attend services. Sunday afternoon on the farm today is very different from the past. It has become a time of recreation rather than religious observance. While John Harrington watches television, his wife goes to a social get-together of the ladies' club. Even recreation is no longer a family affair. The family doesn't enjoy things together as a unit, but separately, as individuals. While Grandpa reads his farm journal, Grandma upstairs in the bedroom listens to the radio and reads a woman's magazine. The children have permission to borrow the family car and are going to visit friends in a nearby town. What about a grandfather who lives in an urban setting? Joseph Wingfield is a widower. He's retired, and he lives alone in his own house. He's reasonably happy. But today's world is a young world in which 60 is old, and Mr. Wingfield has a feeling of uselessness. His job is over. His children are grown. Anna, his daughter, is married and lives in her own home in the same town. The Norton family is typical of the modern urban family in America, babysitter and all. The small size of the average American family has given women more time for work and for leisure. This has resulted in wider individual expression and activity outside the home.
Hi, dear.
Oh, hello, Tom. I didn't hear you come in.
Have you been a good girl today?
Yes, Daddy.
I'll bet you have. I'll just bet you have.
You know, Tom, if you would take the children into the other room, I could get dinner in half the time.
Okay, come on, kids. We'll leave your mother alone. You know, tonight is her art class. And it's getting pretty late. You'd better go on ahead. I'll clean this up for you.
Well, that's nice of you, Tom, but I can get them started at least, if you can put the kids to bed.
Okay, but don't ever let it be said that old Tom Morton never held up art. Onward and upward.
Now, don't tease. You know a woman has to have some self-expression.
Come on, Janie. Off to bed. Your mother's going to express herself tonight, and I'm going to be your babysitter.
Oh, Daddy, you don't look like our babysitter.
Maybe not, but I'm going to be your babysitter tonight. Let's go.
Be a good girl and go right to bed. Mommy will be in to kiss you goodnight.
In the modern family, the division of labor is much less marked than it once was. Mr. Norton assumes some of the responsibilities once regarded as exclusively feminine. And in the Miller family next door, even the economic responsibility is divided, since Mrs. Miller has a regular job just like her husband. The women leave to attend their art class, while the men stay home and have a bridge game. One of the guests, Fred Small, is going to be married. Henry Enfield, a confirmed bachelor, good-naturedly calls Fred a fool for giving up his freedom for married life. But later that night, when Henry gets home to his lonely apartment, he wonders. The life of freedom was fine when Henry was 20 or even 30, but he's 45 now, and he feels pretty alone. A sense of frustration in middle age is a common experience for all people, and companionship is especially needed then. The loneliness and insecurity of cities, and the depersonalized life that urban people like Henry Enfield lead, have made the intimacy of marriage more desirable. From childhood on, human beings seek emotional security in established habit patterns, and the family habit is an essential one. The family as an institution has changed greatly. It may change even more, and its future is by no means determined. But it still carries out its essential functions: reproduction and the care and socialization of the young. As long as it maintains these functions, it will continue to flourish.
And feeling useless. Oh boy, I'm turning 60 next year. Oh, that does not feel great. Well, whatever. Whatever. And I'm not a confirmed bachelor. I got hitched. So, boom. All right, the one thing that that film didn't mention is the implicit danger that surrounds everybody that ruins and destroys families. So this film will bring that out. This is anyone at all. Safety in the community. Enjoy.
Suppose, by some magic, we could reverse all accidents. Unfortunately, there is no such magic. One by one, our accident toll mounts up. And with the passage of just one average year, we record an economic loss of at least $9,100,000,000, 9,500,000 injuries, 95,000 deaths from accidental causes. Just 1 year. But these are figures, symbols, statistics. Who are these 95,000 people anyway? What were they like?
Hey, come on in. Hi, y'all. How are you? Hi, Pat. How are you? It's like,
hello. Mrs. Brooks, it's for you.
All right. You think it's loud? Hello? Oh, hello, dear. Oh, it was sweet of you to call. Well, yes, of course, it is quite an honor, and we're all terribly proud. We think he'll be here any minute. He's driving, you know. The North? Oh, that's his gang. They're giving a surprise party for him. Oh, Phil planned it. You know Phil. Phil Hall, his best friend. Oh, yes, he's back. He's here! He's here! Everybody, hey! Oh, dear, just a moment. I think that's him. I'll call you back, all right? Father.
Any second now.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes, officer. What is it?
Could I talk to you and your wife alone? It's about your boy.
There'd been an accident. Larry Brooks had been killed. Didn't make any sense. A wonderful guy like Larry, dead. And why? Where could you find the answer? It wasn't even his fault, as we found out the next day at the police station. It was one of those accidents with so many things to blame that it just couldn't be pinned down to any one cause. no one thing to blame, except public indifference. Not even that, because people aren't indifferent about things like this. Larry's mother and father certainly weren't indifferent.
Mother. Can't you sleep?
And his friends weren't indifferent. We tried to figure out what we could do.
Of course, if those kids, whoever they were in that jalopy, hadn't cut in front
Look,
of
we've been over this a dozen times already, and where do we always end up? It was everybody's fault and nobody's. Now take that bad shoulder. If the road had been in decent shape...
Phil, Helen's got a good point about that jalopy. We got plenty of crazy drivers right here at West High. Maybe we ought to start at home base, at school. Let's see the principal first thing in the morning.
All right, Phil, I agree. Something should be done. What do you suggest?
Gee, I don't know, Mr. Redkay.
Well, fortunately, we don't have to start from scratch. There's a good deal of experience we can draw on. You know, Phil, back in the early part of this century, in the early 1900s, accidents were really killing people off in our country. But here and there, people were turning up with constructive ideas. You could call them safety pioneers. These safety pioneers didn't want patents on their inventions. They wanted to spread them far and wide. And in 1912, they decided to call a meeting to get together and trade information. That was the first National Safety Congress, and it was worthwhile. In 1913, the National Safety Council was established, a permanent council to help anyone who wanted to join the fight to put an end to maiming and slaughter. Then as time went on, the council became the focal point, the spearhead of all organizations and citizens interested in safety. Industries of all kinds, both management and workers. Highway safety groups made up of public officials and private citizens. Insurance companies. Health and welfare organizations, both government and private. Farm organizations and the various youth groups concerned with farm safety. Service clubs of many kinds. Educators, and many, many other groups. And in recognition of its service to the American people, on its 40th anniversary, the National Safety Council was awarded a federal charter by the Congress of the United States. So you see, Phil, there is a national organization we can turn to when we need help on safety problems. Just as we turn to the Red Cross, for instance, in time of disaster.
I see, Mr. Redkay.
So I'd suggest you write them. See what they've got to say. I'm sure the school will go along with it.
Well, we wrote the National Safety Council. And they came back at us with a lot of good ideas on what other youth groups are doing about safety. And out of all these ideas, we came up with a really good one. Our idea, a teenage safety council, and a driver education course in our high school. But even a terrific idea takes a campaign to put it over. We put the staff of our school paper to work pouring out publicity copy. Our fast talkers tackled the local publishers. They were only too glad to cooperate in a big way. A lot of the work was done by PTA members on the phone. And with house-to-house, door-to-door canvassing, selling our idea of saving lives through driver education. All these things began to add up, especially when we put on a parade. Well, the formal opening drew a big turnout, and nobody was disappointed because we staged quite a show. We had the school's best drivers put on a demonstration of driving skills in automobiles donated to the school by local people who wanted to help. The same cars we'll use in our driver training classes. All in all, it was a big day. And of course, there had to be speeches. But what the mayor had to say was pretty important.
And while there is no bronze tablet here to record it, what we have just seen is in effect a memorial to a graduate of this school, Larry Brooks. A boy of great promise, for whose death, I'm afraid, each one of us is a little to blame. For it has been rightly said that accidents don't just happen, nor does safety just happen. Safety must be planned for and worked for.
Well, I guess we'd planned and worked for safety, but things didn't stop with our high school. There was plenty of action from all the townspeople. Ask anybody around here today.
Yes, that's true. We did get action in a lot of ways. And these youngsters showed us the way. I'm superintendent of a large machine shop here in town. In an industry like ours, you've got a lot of reminders about the everyday importance of safety. But one of the things which stands out in my mind was the case of Ed Adams. Ed was a fine fellow. And he was a top-notch worker, one of our most valuable. He was going places in our shop until one day...
My eyes! My eyes!
Well, he left the hospital, but he was blind, completely sightless, a man whose livelihood depended on his eyes. Of course, he had workman's compensation. That was something. But to a man like Ed, there's no compensation for feeling useless, unwanted, unproductive. We were to find that out. Somehow or other, nobody knows how, not even his wife, Ed got into the shop after hours.
Hey, Ed, what are you doing here?
Hi, it's Charlie. I just came to see you. Charlie, take me home.
Okay, Ed, okay. Come on.
Well, that happened just about the time the high school youngsters started their safety campaign. They asked me to come over and talk to them about industrial safety. And in selling them on the idea, an idea came to me. I sent Hank Bradley, one of our best men, to Chicago to take the National Safety Council's training course on industrial safety. And while he was up there, Hank got a healthy slant on preventing costly accidents. He saw that over the years, since the council has been leading the way, the accident rate has been steadily going down. Well, what Hank learned through the course he took, he liked. And when Hank likes something, he puts it into action. He came back full of ideas which really began to add up in our shop. Tagging off and locking the main switch on a machine to make sure that no one starts it up while you're making an adjustment. Getting our women workers not only to wear safety caps, but to wear them correctly.
And here's something that a while back might have meant a tragic and costly accident. But no more. From the word go, we're safety conscious. So you see, this high school safety campaign has meant a lot to our town. If you don't want to take my word, ask somebody else.
Me, for instance. I've got a farm out here on Highway 60. My son was on the committee when these youngsters organized this business. His talking about safety every night got me to thinking about it. Reminded me of Jack Walsh, a fellow I went to school with. There was no better farmer in the whole county than Jack. He knew more about erosion control, contour plowing, and crop rotation than the Secretary of Agriculture. He was a farmer's farmer, except for one thing.
All right, folks. Let me have your attention, if you please. We got a very fine farm here, in first-class condition. 260 acres of the finest cropland in the entire state. I think most of you know why it's for sale. And I think most of you know that any land that Jack Walsh ever farmed is bound to be better land than when he took over. That's the kind of farmer he was, the very best. I don't have to tell you how valuable this property is.
There was nothing else Jack could have done. He couldn't find anybody to run his farm and didn't have a son old enough to take it over. Well, as I said, these youngsters' work got me to thinking. So, along with some of my neighbors, I organized a farm safety committee. But don't get me wrong. What they started hasn't ended with us. Talk to Mrs. Morris here, for instance.
Yes, I must say their enthusiasm reached us, too. The mothers and wives of our town. We often hear about the lives lost in accidents, and these are terrible, certainly. But just as tragic is the heartbreak and suffering families and friends go through.
Popcorn, peanuts,
I'm
anyone?
reminded of a dear friend of mine, Nora Carlin. Nora was such a sweet girl, and such fun. She and her husband were the center of their group of young people, a crowd that loved to dance and swim and ride. They had a very nice home just outside of town, and 2 lovely children.
I say you give the loveliest parties, Mrs. Carlin.
That's because you're such a wonderful host, Mr. Carlin.
Oh, thank you.
And then one day, something terrible happened to Nora. Its cause was one of those simple, so very simple things. But the heartbreak and suffering it brought to Nora and her husband was something which only someone who has gone through it can know. Of course, everyone tried to help. But sometimes that's about all you can do. Try to help.
Remember the summer we all went riding at Point Pleasant? That was such fun.
Yes, it was such fun, wasn't it? Such fun. Such fun to ride, swim, dance.
Laura, don't. Anne didn't mean anything.
Of course not. Nobody means anything ever. You all say, Nora's so brave. She's holding up so well. And Jim, he's so wonderful. We must all try to make believe it didn't happen. Well, it did happen. It did happen. Can't you understand? And I'm not brave. I'm not brave at all.
Laura, honey, please don't.
I can't help it, Jim. I just can't help it.
Nora will have to come to terms with her misfortune, of course. But in the meantime, every last one of her friends asked, why did it have to happen? And we decided to do something about it. But not just about safety in the home. We knew the job was much bigger than that, and that we were not alone in our concern over it.
Good to see you. Jack, pleasure to see you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I assume we all know why we're here. We're here to let ourselves in for a lot of hard work. But we're here with one thought in mind. You can't departmentalize safety. You can't cut it up into little pieces and expect to get anywhere. Well, the answer, and I think you'll all agree on this, is to get together. We've got to pool our efforts. Make this safety business a community-wide effort. Now, to do this, we've got to have a safety council in our town, representing industry, business, schools, the police department, and what have you. Representing, in short, everybody. Now, I was remembering, before you people arrived this afternoon, what all this fuss is about. That boy there.
Listen to that, would you? And the mayor's right. Only I don't deserve the credit. Larry is the one who deserves the credit. But he's not around to take it. I wonder what he'd have to say if he were.
Are you kidding, Phil? You know what I'd say. Anybody who doesn't believe in good safety practices all down the line is just plain stupid.
I'll agree. And I've got something more to say. Being on the safe side may take a bit more thought and trouble, but it's worth it. Believe me, it's worth it.
Sometimes you feel as though you don't want to live, but you get over that. What you don't get over is the idea you know most people have, because you had it once too. It won't happen to me. It'll be someone else. But the truth is, it may be you. Anyone at all, might be in my place right now. Anyone at all. Anyone at all.
Anyone at all. Anyone at all. Yeah, that was Encyclopedia Britannica, but definitely there is a Sid Davis vibe to it in showing the implicit dangers of life. And yeah, it's real good. The woman in the wheelchair comes in and spoils the dinner party with her being bitter. It's so great. Anyways, thanks for joining us today. We will be back again live tomorrow. I think we're going to do live show tomorrow and then on Wednesday, and then we'll pre-record the rest of the week for Christmas and Boxing Day. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for your comments. I hope that some of you are on break and you can relax and not have to go to work. I work all the time, so but I will be taking time off this week. Anyways, everybody have a great rest of your Monday, and we will talk to you soon.